Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Amit Jaipuria, for your time. And this session is going to be about storytelling and through postcard, and it's also about connecting local voices with travelers to create authentic and experiential experiences, and talk about how rural tourism can help here. Uh, just a little bit about Amit before we'll go on with the presentation. So Amit Jaipuria is a founder and CEO of Postcard Travel. It's a travel media platform which is centered around storytelling. His entire mission and vision is to empower, boutique hotels, travel designers, writers, and everybody in the travel industry to promote destinations and experiences with authentic voices around people, culture, history, food, nature, and wildlife. And this is where I thought it's a great synergy with us, because we also have, our entire spectrum of rural tourism being divided into different categories, and all of us are doing our bit in different ways to kind of promote rural tourism. He believes that storytelling has a power to both encourage transformational travel and sustainable travel as well. And stories can help global travelers connect with local communities and share this message with the world. Can also help, I mean, Amit will share this, but it can also help with, actual bookings, and also revive the industry from what it is right now. Thank you, Amit, for your time. And, I do hope, we'll find a synergy and, working together. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for the kind introduction. And thanks to the Wiki team as well for the opportunity to sort of present in front of you guys. I read up on the site and I'm so inspired by the kind of work you guys are doing. So, full power to you guys. What I'll do is I wanted to start off by sharing my screen. So let me just do that, and then I'll take you through this presentation. Please let me know if you can see the screen. Yeah, okay. Okay, great. All right. So yeah, so the theme of the presentation today is connecting local voices with travelers to promote experiential travel. Experiential travel is actually a new form of travel that seems to be gaining more traction now. It revolves around cultural exploration and activity-based travel experiences. So, the old school of traveling, which was all about, checking things off the bucket list and, really just going and, to the most popular places and the tourist spots. I think globally now, and thanks to COVID, I think it's been amplified. People want to sort of learn, they want to grow through their experiences. So it's a great opportunity for the travel industry, and especially the authentic entrepreneurs, the authentic, experiences that can be offered around culture, heritage, history, local craft, etc., to step up and now share their, stories with others so that it inspires them to do that. So what we're trying to do is, I'd like to start by looking at the market dynamics. So on the supply side, people who are really looking to promote these local stories. Sorry, there's a little, can I request, people to mute their microphones? I'm hearing a little bit of buzz in the background. Thank you. So on the supply side, there are a lot of stakeholders that are keen to promote local. And of course, boutique hotels by design are, they bring in local craftsmen, local materials, have interesting stories behind their hotels. You have tour operators, you have travel designers, boards, writers, and also non-profits.
Good morning. Are you here?
Sorry, can I please request? Is there a way?
No, can you please mute, please? Because I think we're getting a lot of.
Yeah, thank you. So, there are a lot of players here, right? And there are a lot of people who are here for commercial purposes, but there are a lot of authentic brands as well. So on the supply side, there is a lot of overcrowding in the market. On the demand side, which is the consumption side, the experiential traveler is looking for authentic partners, to connect with. So there is this side, there is a market out there for the brands that are out there looking to connect with these travelers, but there are certain challenges that are faced in the market. So if we sort of look at the supply side, travel brands, what we talked about, a bunch of issues that are faced, and I'm sure you guys face it on a daily basis as well. SEO, right? We are dependent on Google today. The traveler has no other option, but to look at Google social media primarily. And Google is SEO driven, so it is algorithm driven, and therefore it's not the guy who has the best content or the most authentic voice. It's the person who has the best SEO skills that is, gains visibility. Second thing is the noise on social media. A lot of times the news feed and things have a low shelf life. So oftentimes, I think it's 5 hours or 6 hours. So if your post doesn't have meet the right audience at the right time, it's really hard to sort of get their attention. So it's lost in the noise. And besides that, you also have the clutter of people posting selfies, and a bunch of other things, as we have seen on Facebook and Instagram, etc. Third, there isn't really a segment where you can really say that I want the experiential traveler, right? The demographics don't exist when you're trying to market on social media. The demographics don't exist on Google Ads. So it's really hard to sort of target it, and which makes it really expensive because you're kind of shooting in the dark and you're hoping that the right audience finds your message and then reaches out to you. And finally, it's credibility, right? Because a lot of great authentic voices, I think, are smaller brands, and they struggle with the bigger players who have bigger, more fancy websites, a more, marketing budget, etc., which kind of creates that issue of, how do they establish credibility? On the demand side, the travelers, if you think about yourself as travelers, when you're looking at traveling to a new city, research takes a lot of time, right? You spend a lot of time on Google, you go to TripAdvisor, you go to multiple platforms, you search travel blogs, and you're really trying to find these voices, but it's hard because it's not presented to you. And secondly, of course, which I touched upon in the beginning, which is, it's hard to sort of differentiate the authentic brands from the commercial brands which are out there. So that's kind of where we believe the role of stories come in, because stories are unique in that it allows brands to differentiate themselves, right? The quality of the way in which you write stories allow you to either inspire people or just sell to people. And I think that kind of creates a unique position for any brand, small or big, to say, give out the authentic stories and really differentiate themselves from others. Stories, of course, have an opportunity to inspire travelers, and that's the critical part, because rather than selling, the whole idea behind storytelling is it's inspirational driven. Further, it's easy to consume because we've been kind of told stories since we were young. We kind of know how to consume it. We love the engagement of it, and the fact that it's education driven, right? It's not sales driven. And finally, a great story that inspires us is something that people share. So we at Postcard obviously believe that stories are a unique channel and a voice to sort of really reach out and connect with the traveler in an authentic manner. So that's where Postcard comes in. What we're trying to do at our end is to really build the destination for travelers to connect with authentic brands. So what I touched upon earlier, which is that, it's hard to sort of really target the travelers because of the demographics and the psychographics and other things on mainstream media like Google and Facebook and social media. What we're trying to do is build this from the traveler perspective and bring in all the experiential travelers so that they find a space where they can come in and say that, look, we are looking at story-based travel, right? And That's what we're trying to do, which is to bring together the community and then inspire them and the brands, have them discover the local stories and then inspire them with the brands that are promoting them. So just to give you a little bit of a background into Postcard, we've invented a new media format for travel content, and this is purely a travel specific platform. So we kind of took our inspiration from Postcards itself, which is a two-sided media format, physical format, obviously. It's built for short storytelling, and that's important because nowadays social media has taught us that people don't want long blog posts. They prefer bite-sized, easy to consume content pieces. It's something which people can kind of go through, experience, and then decide if they want to know more or not. So what we do as our vision is to obviously, as Lakshmi pointed out, we are trying to bring out the authentic stories from around the world and drive these travelers to more mindful and sustainable tourism. Sustainable tourism, because I believe, when stories are told, it allows people to build a deeper connection with the local community. And when that's done at a global level and on scale, it will promote sustainable tourism because there's a bond being developed between the global traveler and the local storyteller or the entrepreneur or the artisan, etc. So that connection helps people understand, be sensitive to the cultures and the local, history, etc., and then take it forward. So what I'm going to do through this presentation is actually take you through a live demo as well of the platform, so you can relate to it in a live format. This is, a distribution of stories that are from around India, created by Rare India. Rare India, some of you may know, is founded by Shobha Mohan. She's very dynamic individual in the travel space. She was the pioneer of conscious luxury and promotes sustainable tourism and transformative travel in India. She has a portfolio of about 55 boutique hotels, and what she believes in is to sort of bring out the voices. So this is a Rare India stories website, and what we do is we've given the tools that allow her to start creating the stories of the different hotels, where she introduces the hosts, talks a little bit about the background of the destination and the property, and inspires people to then look beyond and then go to the booking site. So these are a bunch of stories, that are there. These are all stories of the hotel portfolio that is in the Rare India portfolio. Each postcard, like I said, can be flipped. Once it's flipped, she shares the story, a little bit of background about the place, about the kind of experiences that are there. She also introduces in some postcards the hosts, so that it's interesting to sort of, for the traveler as well to kind of see, rather than looking at a commercial property, it becomes a much more interesting way to sort of look at, the place that they're going to stay at and the hosts that they're going to meet. What we also have along with postcards is, it's albums. So she groups, in her case, she just has one album. There could be many. But the Rare India collection is this collection of 55 postcards. So now we also allow the traveler to sort of decide what kind of experience that they would like to have. So if they're looking at heritage, these are the various heritage stories from around India, which are in boutique hotels that she can now, that the traveler can now visit and then experience for themselves. What we also have is a map view, and the map view allows people to sort of, once they've established a trust with the brand like Rare India, they can very easily decide on where to stay based on, where you're planning on going. So if I'm looking at somewhere, north, mid-north of India, I look at traveling to this place, I look at Khajuraho, let's say, and Saraya Toria is a brand that's been promoted. So here she talks about the conservation biologist who specialized in last on Earth and his whole story, right? And why it's interesting. So reading these stories allow the traveler to get inspired. There's a button here also called Read More, and when a traveler clicks on it, it actually takes you to the Sarai Toria website, and that's where the sales process begins. So the whole idea here is, how do we inspire the traveler first? How do we inspire the individual to first get into the stories, understand about the themes, etc., and then go to the individual branded website where they can then learn more, they can book now, etc. So let me just come back to this. Yeah. All right. So as I said, what we do is we give brands the tools to create their own stories website. And this is where we invite them to promote stories of people and culture, people and places, right? So these could be stories of culture, history, heritage, food, nature, wildlife, and there could be interesting stories about artisans, craftsmen. There's so much. I mean, India has so much richness in it, as you guys will know better than me. I just think it's these stories that need to be told, and what we're trying to do is, promote these stories through the platform. I already touched upon this. So individual stories are also mapped for the convenience of travelers to plan their daily itineraries and experiences. So as I mentioned earlier, again, while the corporate website focuses on sales and conversion, the story website focuses on the inspirations and drives traffic to the corporate website. So I'll very quickly show you the Sarai Toria web stories website as well. Sarai Toria is a boutique hotel in the Rare India portfolio, but what they did was, they've also started creating their own stories website. So they're now starting to celebrate their region. So we invited Sarai Toria and told them, like, why don't you become ambassadors for your region? You've got a great boutique hotel, but that's not the only story that you need to share. Why not share about the flora, the fauna, the heritage, etc. So they've come up with a story around the Penna National Park, the Khajuraho temples, the birding opportunities, a little bit about nature, and it's a board that they build which allows them to sort of market there. So this is kind of the Sarai Toria map. It's as they add more stories. While Sarai Toria is here, we'll start seeing more stories bubble up and come up in the Sarai Toria section itself. So individually, they can promote their own destinations. At the same time, a brand like a representation company like Rare India also promotes Sarai Toria through their collection of stories. So what are the benefits of some of the story websites? One is, it's a permanent storyboard that you get, right? Unlike posts that you do on Facebook, Instagram, etc., that has a limited shelf life. In this case, you have a permanent storyboard that's always there. You continue to build on it as you find more inspirations and interesting stories around a destination. It's easy to explore with maps. So like I shared with you, if you're planning on going to Central India, and if you have a trusted brand that you know of, you can explore through maps and then find the destinations through that method. Each story website has its own URL, so that can then be used for marketing, not just through your corporate website and your social media posts, but also through blogs, through Google, it's search engine indexed, etc. And finally, we allow people to drive traffic and inquiries, as I shared with you with the Sarai Toria brand itself. What we've recently launched now is something which is very interesting actually for the Wiki group as well. And that's, for brands that share a common audience, what we offer is a Postcard Hub. The idea is to collectively market to like-minded travelers. So in this case, these are three brands. Reliance Chateau is a big luxury boutique brand. Small Luxury Hotels of the World is again, and so is Design Hotels. These are brands that target the experiential traveler through boutique. They're more luxury in nature. But if you think about it from an audience profile, it's fairly similar. In the case of Wiki, I also see this as an option because I think the people who really want to understand rural India, who want to understand and go deeper into their roots, it's a great way because the different stakeholders in the ecosystem can then come together and be a part of this mechanism. So the hub actually brings all their stories collectively into a platform. And I'll show you a very quick example of the boutique hotels in Asia. And so what we did was we pooled together these storytellers, including Rare India, and we created a boutique hotel hub for Asia. So if you kind of look at this, this is a collective of different brands that are part. We also have a list called the contributor list. So the contributors are picked by the hub itself to sort of start posting, and their posts are then aggregated into the hub. So these are the 4 brands that have, are currently contributing to the Asia hub. We will be sort of looking at brands from China, brands from other parts of the Asia as well, to sort of come in and then add them as contributors so that collectively we can sort of market to the same traveler. In this case, we also have a drop down. So like, for example, if you go down and let's say choose, I will try to choose China. Let's take China, for example. What China does is, when you select China, what it does is it filters down the postcards. So while we had 200 plus postcards in the beginning, the way of looking at this is now from the contributors, these are the filtered list of 23 postcards that belong to China. So if you are a person looking for a boutique hotel in Asia, rather than going to those individual websites and contributors and seeing and then going through their navigation, you simply filter it by the country of China, and then you suddenly find all these hotels that are boutique hotels verified by these established brands. So I can dive into Beijing and then find out, let's say, the Hotel Leclerc, or let's say a little different, Corzet, I could pronounce it. But I could then also then dive in and then visit this specific hotel where I could then, so it makes it much easier from a traveler's perspective because the credibility is now established. I know that these brands that are promoting these boutique hotels are authentic. I have a certain affinity for the kind of hotels that they bring into the platform. So rather than going to different websites, it allows me to sort of come to one destination, do my exploration at that end, and then jump to the respective website based on the stories that inspire me. And obviously I can kind of get in here and then do my bookings, etc. So yeah, so the benefits of Postcard Hub, of course, one is collective storytelling, right? And under an umbrella brand or a theme. So the good thing here is, for people who aren't familiar with the Relais and Chateau, maybe they're familiar with one of the other brands. By coming under an umbrella brand, it establishes credibility for them as well. There's collaborative marketing as well, because you have an engaged audience that is like-minded. So what happens at that case is it brings in a lot of, it brings down your marketing budgets. And finally, it's easy to explore stories by geography, right? So if I'm looking at a specific part of, let's say, the world, and let's say I get into, India, and I'm looking at a certain part of India, yes, just going through the map, a way to explore through the maps makes it very, very easy for us to, as travelers. So I'm bringing in the traveler perspective now to find these stories. And once we know that it's under the credibility of an umbrella brand, it brings in that comfort for the traveler as well to sort of reach out and then probably partner with the brand. So yeah, so coming back full circle, the Wiki Hub is something that I'm personally very passionate about promoting India, and I think there are so many stories to be told. So one of the ways in which we can do this is to sort of create a stories hub for Wiki and invite its members who are interested and understand the whole idea of storytelling We will help members create their own websites with local stories about destinations, and then um, on the instruction by Wiki, we manually add each of their member websites into the Wiki Hub, so that collectively Wiki can now promote these stories from different parts of India to the audience. And obviously, the contributor list, which is there under the Wiki Hub, also allows for the individual brands to showcase their own story websites. So if there's an interesting brand coming out of South India, it comes up in the contributor list. And then if a traveler is looking to sort of dive deeper, they can always go in and click on that individual brand and then open up their stories website, like we did for Saratoria, and go in and explore more, contact them, book now, things like that. We have two pricing models for the brands. This is early stage. Cost for companies, if it's a for-profit brand, we're charging $30 per month. Currently, we are doing a free trial till December 31st. And if it's a non-profit, or if it's a travel writer, and if it's anyone who's really wanting to promote India, we're completely giving it away for free, because we share the mission of promoting India and all its richness. So that's in a very short presentation. Hope that was interesting. This is my email ID. Be happy to sort of connect with anyone who's interested to know more. And stop my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Just one thing, Amit, is it possible to show them the India Travel Story Hub that you had created from different storytellers?
Yeah, let me just see.
Yeah. And also the community travel that you've done with Brazil.
Elisa's, yeah.
Elisa's, because that's very relevant, I think, than boutique hotels to the kind of content we want to do.
So let me just see if I can pull that up. So we had, this is our homepage. I think the Incredible India Hub, I'll just have a look, but we'll just see Elisa. Yeah, so Elisa's Pampanato is a community. She uses an ethnographic approach to give visibility to protagonist voices. So she sort of promotes community-based tourism. She does a lot of work in Brazil. She's doing work now. She's actually, by the way, creating a hub with us. We've signed up with her to sort of create a hub around community-based tourism. She's starting off with Brazil. She talks about different parts of Brazil to sort of highlight stories of food, crafts, etc. Some really interesting stories. This is a map view. So she has started creating stories around Brazil, but she's also taking this to Asia. She's taking it to Africa. I think she has a strong presence in Africa as well as Europe. So these are the things that she will be building on. Again, each story has its own the background, and then you can kind of scroll through the story. Let me see if I have the Incredible India. I think we had hidden it.
I think we can't see the screen. Sorry, can you just show me?
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry about that. Can you see it now? Lakshmi, you can see it?
Yes, Amit.
Okay, great. Thank you. So yeah, so Elisa has started creating stories about Brazil. She's going to be doing a global hub that she's building, just like what we did with boutique hotels of Asia. She's building a global hub around community-based tourism around the world. So she's quite a voice in Europe. She does a lot of work with Brazil. So she started off with her hub with stories from Brazil, where she's talked about craft, handicrafts, toy making, a little bit of agriculture, and different, cuisines, etc. So she's going to be building her hub, which I think she's planning on taking it live end of this month. And in the same way, what we did also was, but let me just check if I can pull up the Incredible India.
Sorry, can we also see the homestays and the the content that she created around the hotels and the homestays that she was working with those.
Elisa didn't do it around homestays. So what she did was she's published these postcards right now. She that's part of the process. I think she's adding those kind of stories. But if I click on read more, she's talked about. She's linked this postcard to her article on fighting with art for their independence. So it kind of really goes down to rural stories, right? And promoting this. So this is her blog post. This is the long form article, which she's written. But what she does is she creates a snapshot of that article and then links them for people. So as a traveler, you kind of come into her hub, you have a good sense of different stories from Brazil. And community-based tourism in Brazil, and then you drive into her website, and then you can read out. So she has a bunch of services and stuff like that, destination, community, etc. that she does. As far as homestays, Lakshmi, I think it's fairly similar to what we did with boutique hotels. It's just a different property type. But let me see if I can pull up the Incredible India hub. I think these guys were doing some work on it. Okay, there you go. So Incredible India, we have, I made some posts, but Manish, Punita, there's a bunch of, Gustav, Lakshmi herself obviously is a storyteller, Saraya Toria. So these are the different brands that we bought in. The whole idea here was to use travel writers, travel bloggers, boutique brands to showcase India. So, we've got photographers, the hotels, etc. So when I come in here and I look at the postcards, you suddenly have a different variety of postcards that you have. So similar to what we were talking about when I dive into, let's say, one of these areas. That's a resort, but I'm trying to. Yeah, so Barwani is, it's something about nature. There's a story on nature. There's a story. This is a personal story. There's a story around the cattle, which was written by Vijaypur Horse Safaris. There's a boutique hotel that I can stay. So if you think about it, a traveler would pick up the boutique hotel and then look at the inspirations of these different storytellers as well, to then go out and plan their trips. Does that help, Lakshmi?
Sorry, maybe a little bit examples of different types of content, maybe a little one culture, one myth. Maybe it'll just help them to understand the kind of content they can create.
Yeah, sure. So I'll have to find it, I think, because there are. We'll have to dig into this and see it. But let me actually try to go back to the homepage. And then let's actually go from here. So let's look at the storytellers, right? I think, Lakshmi, if you don't mind, can I show them your profile? I think you have a few on them.
Sure.
Yeah, so maybe you want to just talk about this based on how you sort of.
It's not my session, but just what I'm trying to say is to tell you that we can think of content in different parts. So it's not just about focusing on a product or a destination alone. Here we are breaking it into interesting stories. So there's arts and crafts, for example, with Ragrajpur. There is Arco Valley and nature and coffee and the whole tribal connection to how coffee is grown in Arco Valley and how tribals are getting involved. Kagaladu, for example, is a natural. It's a birding spot, but it is also about how community bird sanctuary, how the villagers there have forged a special relationship with the painted storks and have ensured that they are saved, because every year they come there to nest. Mangal Jyoti has another conservation story, again a birding destination, but you must all be aware that they were all once poachers and then they were converted eventually into naturalists, and they have a, so the idea, what I was trying to ask Amit to showcase through this content in the Incredible India Hub is, it's not just about saying, okay, I want to talk only about a hotel destination, or I want to talk about just the food that they have or the experiences that we have. Collectively as a group, I felt that there is so many stories that each of us have, whether it is cultural stories, heritage stories, folklore, whether it is like Elisa's is all about community tourism, art, street art on the slums of, for example, in Brazil. To a large extent, that her hub is very similar to the kind of hub that we are talking about, because it's all people stories and community stories and culture stories and stories which resonate with everything that we do, whether arts and crafts, trying to create a space for artisans, and she links it to articles that she writes in newspapers or blogs that is there. So yeah, so that's precisely what I wanted to kind of share through content examples, through storytellers. And it's also about how storytellers and travel writers like us uh, are essentially helping brands create stories. So sometimes brands don't have the time or the bandwidth because they're busy selling. So we are able to cull out stories and tell them, look, these are the stories you need to create about your brand. And that's how there is a connect between the storytellers and the and the properties and the properties of the destinations as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's great, and I think also, it's not just for the the brands itself. It's also for the travelers, right? Because we find deeper meaning in the travel and the itineraries that we build. It just makes it so much more interesting and inspiring to sort of travel. Once you have stories, you've got a little bit of a backstory, you've got a little bit of an art story, and then you look forward to actually going out and experiencing it in real life, right? It's kind of like what we talk about, where when we go to a nature reserve, and we're sitting by the bonfire, and the general manager of a wildlife sanctuary sits, or a boutique a hotel sits down and tells us stories about the forest, right? They talk about incidents, they talk about the legends, the temples, the history of the forest, etc. It just is really catches your attention. You get lost in those stories. So what we're trying to do is bring out these stories up front, share it with the traveler, and then give them reasons to go and experience these stories for themselves. Any other questions or any other themes that are there amongst the audience? Different types. We can kind of identify cases for them as well. Lakshmi.
I think the audience, if you have any questions, any doubts about how, because each of you have different interests and different businesses, so
Yeah.
it's good to kind of discuss it. If you have any questions, I mean.
Hello, Mr. Amit. This is Loretta.
Hi, Loretta.
Hi, Lakshmi. Yeah, hello everyone. So yeah, I was really going through the screen share you were sharing. Like, it's really very interesting, and the postcard concept also. It kind of connects with the travel theme. So I am from Banaras, and I was seeing in your map also. I think you're not. Just suggesting, because I think you're not covering Uttar Pradesh as such. And Banaras is again, one of, in tourism, we consider one of the oldest living cities in India. You still go back to those times and all. So if you're interested, maybe I can, share some stories and experiences, because I am a travel organizer as well. I've been a tour leader for last like 7 years. I've traveled length and breadth of India, and the real life experiences. So if you're interested, maybe I can share some local experiences and the stories and pics. And like, if you want, you can share. That would be good. Or
no, absolutely, absolutely. I think what we're trying to do is now, because we are also a startup, we are bringing in storytellers, we're bringing in brands, we're bringing in contributors, right? So our whole idea here also is to sort of really identify the local voices, and partner with them and then share these stories, because Banaras, like you said, has such a rich history, right? And I think it's important for us to find the right brands to sort of partner with. So definitely we can. In fact, if you're a travel designer as well, or a tour operator, what we have, and I can actually, that's a good point you brought up. Let me show you a screen with Sadhna Sharma is also a tour designer. So for travel designers, we also have an inquiry, a lead generation form that we just recently launched. So let me go to Sadhna's here, Sadhna Sharma. So in her case, she's officially a travel designer, and she's talking about different. Obviously, she's focused on Zimbabwe in her first stories, but we also have a form here saying contact Sadhna Sharma for a personalized itinerary. So what happens is, the traveler can now first read the stories, be inspired by them, and say that, okay, I like the way she looks at her land, right? And then create a form where, as a traveler myself, I'd be like, look, because she says great stories, I would like to sort of plan my trip with those stories in mind. So it becomes a lead generation opportunity for Sadhna, as in while she's sharing these stories, because we are bringing in the experiential travelers, we can now connect her to these travelers, and then hopefully that converts to a sale for her as well. So given your context, that's another way we can look at possible marketing angle as well, not just the storytelling angle.
True. Yeah.
So we should get in touch. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other different types of audiences that are there that kind of have any questions? Lakshmi, do you see any other scenarios that you'd like to sort of touch upon?
I think maybe, we can discuss with Sahana and the other team and see how we can look at creating a hub if anybody wants to be a part of a hub, or like Loretta suggested, maybe we could even start with independent, smaller, could be like a travel designers. There are a lot of, because the group is very eclectic, right? I mean, there are travel designers, there are people working with artisans at grassroots level. There are people who are interested in culture stories, the people who are having homestays. So I think it's good to maybe everybody sees the session later on, and probably we could have another call to figure out who are all interested in being a part of either the hub, or if they want to do it individually.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sahana, very interesting. Once we can share it in the group, and I'm sure once everyone sees the recording, we'll get lots of things more to discuss. Because today, unfortunately, many have not been able to join. But Lakshmi, as you said, we can discuss more and then we take it forward. No?
Yeah, because we also have members on tourism boards, members from different states who are part of this. So I'm sure everybody will find some synergy somewhere. And we just have to figure out whether it works better as a hub or whether it works better individually, depending on personal interests.
Yeah, and I guess you can have both, right? Because the hub can serve itself, because the individual websites will be standalone sites anyway for the individual stakeholders, right? And the hub is just added benefit. It makes it, I think, easier for the for Wiki itself to sort of promote it, rather than promoting individual hubs, individual story websites. It's a collective storytelling that they can promote as well.
Could you just elaborate, Amit, maybe for the benefit of others who are not here but would like to hear it later, as to how what will go into the hub? What all kind of content can one do? How is it? What are the scenarios that are there?
So in the simplest way, the question that we ask brands is, what is wonderful about your destination, right? Become ambassadors for the destination. So it's down to each brand to sort of really understand and identify that piece for themselves. Because if they answer that one question, which is, are there food stories, are there culture stories, heritage stories, right? Depends on the destination as well. But if they just ask themselves, what is wonderful about my place, and then I think the stories start coming out. And these could be even stories about certain people there, entrepreneurial stories, and there's so much, right? So it depends. The objective is really to highlight all that's wonderful, and if we keep that as the North Star, then I think the themes of the content sort of start coming together. I hope that answers your question.
So I guess we don't have any more questions today, Amit. Like Loretta said, we'll go through the recording with all the team leaders. We have 22 focus areas covering different aspects of tourism. So we'll just go through all the, the recording, and we'll also explore your website, and we'll definitely, like to take this forward. And thank you so much for showing us how to showcase rural tourism in India in such a great way. And thank you so much, Lakshmi, for coordinating this. And thanks a lot, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anne.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Sana.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
nice meeting you.
And any questions you have, please reach out to Amit, or I'll give you his contacts, and I'll put it on the group. And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.